This presentation is about our Girls Academy program at Capital Football Club and contains a lot of information about our 2024 and 2025 program. It's designed to help you decide, is this a right fit for your family? So let's get going. First of all, let's start with some foundational things on what we believe at CFC. We serve our community through providing soccer opportunities for players of all commitment levels, and we talk about these as pathways. They're organized from low to high commitment in the following categories. Cost, low to high cost. Are they seasonal or year round? What is the frequency of training and games within the program? And what's the amount of travel required for the program? And then skill level. Are players committed to training playing outside of their practice at CFC, and are they progressing? Regardless of the program, we at CFC provide high value in each of our programs in terms of the soccer experience your family will receive. So the question is, what's your player pathway? A couple things about this that we believe. First of all, we believe every player must choose their pathway, and that looks different depending on the family and on the player. Some players and families are more clear on the right pathway for their player than others. Sometimes you just know that you've got a kid that really, really loves soccer and they're going to be committed to it. They're super competitive and they want to go on that path. Other times, it's not quite as clear. And we believe that it's normal for most players and families to be unclear on what pathway is best for their player. We at the club provide multiple pathways so that players and families can experiment to see if a higher commitment level is better or a lower commitment level is better. So you're not necessarily locked in to one pathway from the very beginning. This slide is a graphic that's kind of an overview of the different pathways that we have at CFC, and it's organized by age. You can see across the top, age 11 and 12, that's the 99 age, 13s and 14s, and then up into high school. It's organized from bottom to top in terms of commitment level, with casual commitment on the bottom and the medium commitment level in the middle and the highest commitment level along the top. So as you can see, we offer recreational, competitive, and then an academy level that all vary in commitment. There's a couple important decision points that you and your player have to make along the way on the pathway. Up until U12 or under 12, players primarily have a choice to be a seasonal or recreational player or a year-round player. You can see the shaded in area is the junior academy and pre-academy or competitive. That's a year-round program and is roughly 36 weeks long, fairly similar in that. Your decision point as a family and as a player is, are you going to make that year-long commitment, or would you prefer to do the 8-week commitments that are the recreational program, fall and spring season, or you join for the winter or a summer recreational program? As the players get older, we start into a higher commitment level at U13. It's under 13 or 6th or 7th grade, and it marks the transition from 9v9 to 11v11. So players will spend 2 years playing in that 9v9 age or 9v9 model. Then they'll move up to that 11v11 time, and when you make that transition to 11v11, that's when kind of this biggest academy transition happens. Now, like I said before, most players will take the next 2 to 3 years as they move through middle school and into high school, decide if the academy, competitive, or the recreational / casual pathway is best for them. There's a lot of movement that happens in that time, and it's not necessarily clear for all of the families. This slide is about why would you choose that highest level pathway. The CFC Academy pathway is for players who love the game and have chosen soccer as their primary sport, players who prioritize their soccer commitment above all others, as is reasonable, players who want to play in college or beyond. And we've recognized that not all 12 or 13-year-olds know if they want to play in college or beyond, but keep in mind that our academy program is designed to place players in college soccer or beyond. the pathways for players and families that are able to commit to the higher cost travel and time that the academy demands. Now, I want to take a moment and talk just a little bit about multi-sport, because this is a frequently asked question. First of all, research shows that multi-sport athletes are the most successful, but we as a club believe that there are some misconceptions about what this actually looks like. First of all, when we talk about a multi-sport athlete, we're really talking about an athlete. That means the player is athletic. They'll succeed in most sports because of good body movement, endurance, strength, speed, etc. They're going to be successful when it comes to pretty much all sports. Secondly, multi-sport doesn't necessarily mean competing at the highest level in all sports or even playing organized sports. It may look like seasonal participation or playing pickup games on the street or running, etc. That doesn't necessarily mean you have to be an elite multi-sport athlete. Multi-sport also means complementary sports. Some sports or sports leagues do not mix well because of the schedule, the amount of commitment that's required for both of them. An easy example on the girls' side is softball and soccer. These two sports have conflicting calendars, and it's really, really difficult to make those two sports work. There's a lot of research out there. This is from the Aspen Institute Project Play. That's where we're getting this information. The research shows a stronger emphasis on organized multi-sport experiences before age 12, with specialization coming more and more after this. We believe and encourage players to try a variety of sports prior to age 12, but we expect players to start to be honing in on their primary sport by age 13 to 15. So let's talk a little bit about the difference between the Girls Academy League, which is what we participate in for the girls, versus Oregon Youth Soccer League, which is a traditional competitive experience and what all of our teams participate in up until U12, up until U13. So all of our academy teams for the girls play in the Girls Academy League. This is a national league and is designed to put players in front of college coaches from around the country, and it differs from OYSA or Oregon Youth Soccer in a couple different ways. First of all, clubs apply and are selected to join the Girls Academy. These are not open to individual teams or even to all clubs. So it's a pretty exclusive group of clubs that get to participate. Clubs are chosen to participate by entire club, not by individual teams. So if your team is really good or not really good, it doesn't make a difference because participation is chosen across 6 teams in each club. Next, the Girls Academy League has much higher standards from Oregon Youth Soccer that include a minimum coach licensing requirement. There's a lot of education and licensing that's around there through USSF or US Soccer Federation. So all of our coaches have to have at least their B to coach in that. There's field and facility requirements, competitiveness requirements. So we have to be able to compete at a regional and a national level within the league. There's a lot of requirements around club philosophy documentation and a way of playing that we submit to the league annually. Required participation in a minimum number of national events. And we'll talk about this a little bit later in the presentation. There are specific game day requirements such as filming all matches, having a trainer on site, usage of tents, having higher level referees, and several others. The annual schedule is much different. The games are scheduled in a lot different way than a traditional Oregon Youth Soccer League, and it's truly a year-round commitment with shorter breaks. There's also organizational requirements. So within your organization as a whole club, the league requires that you have specific positions, including a technical director, executive director, academy director, and a couple other things about your board and structure of your organization. In contrast, here is what Oregon Youth Soccer Leagues look like. And again, reminder, this is up until the U13 age. All of our teams are participating in OYSA, as well as our competitive teams continue to participate in OYSA up through high school. So these leagues are open to individual teams, and placement is done by a coach or a director depending on club structure. There's Premier Divisions, Division 1, and so on and so forth, that your director or your coach, depending on the structure of each individual club, will place you in. There's no minimum licensing requirements for coaches or education requirements. No facility requirements. Some clubs don't even have a home field, and so that's some of our challenges with scheduling within our state come from that fact. Leagues are scheduled by Oregon Youth Soccer directly and follow a fall, winter, spring format. So that creates larger breaks in the summer and winter for either tournaments or other sports participation. Additional tournaments are not required, they're optional. And tournaments don't typically have a great college coach representation unless you're really, really selective about which tournaments you participate and your team is at a competitive level that makes it worthwhile for a college coach to come and watch. I have a few slides here from the Girls Academy, just about the Girls Academy League in particular. The belief of the Girls Academy is here. The Girls Academy is endeavoring to lead the most dynamic soccer development platform imaginable and empowering girls in pursuit of excellence as athletes and people. The league is relatively new. It was founded in 2020 to address the needs of the competitive female player. At the time, it took the place of the U.S. Soccer Development Academy, which folded in the middle of the pandemic, and this is what popped up on a national level to serve girls across the country. One of the really cool parts that we've experienced as well within the Girls Academy is a player-led advisory panel. So we have players from each of our teams that are a part of an advisory panel that helps guide some of the decision making of the league, both regionally and nationally. Another point here, just to kind of emphasize the college focus of the league. 93% of players in the GA want to play in college, and 43% want to represent their country. These 4 players are players from CFC that have moved on. These are Division 1 opportunities and players that have moved on from CFC to those. And then this is the other focus of the GA, is really to shape engaged citizens, helping girls to know what it means to give back, to develop character, to advocate for themselves. There's many member clubs that collaborate across both each region and conference, as well as across the nation. And here's a map. This was last year's conference alignment, so you can see Pacific Northwest, we're up there, upper left, and this is Oregon and Washington. But as you can see, it's a truly national league, and you'll see some of these other teams in participation in regional and national showcase events. These are the teams from the 23-24 Northwest Conference. As you can see, in Oregon, there's Bridge City, CFC, Eugene, and then the other teams, Columbia Premier is in Vancouver, Washington. So 3 other teams that are fairly local to us. The rest of the teams are either in the Seattle area or Spokane. So as far as the competition goes, this is what the GA competition really looks like. League competition within our region against those opponents that we just had on this last slide. But there's also national showcases, regional showcases, a Champions Cup, and then there's also talent ID showcases within each conference. And we'll demonstrate a couple of the details around what national and regional showcase which national showcases and regional showcases we as a club will participate in. Some of them are optional, and some of them depend on the age group. So the Champions Cup is a part of the Summer Showcase experience, and that's reserved for the winners of the conferences. Talent ID, like we mentioned before, throughout the year, there's a few different opportunities for players not only to be scouted and be seen, but also invited to Talent ID events that are within our region. And then there's national team and collegiate exposure. So if you look at the list and if you're at the regional and national events at the GA, that's one of the huge benefits of being a part of the GA is you have an incredibly vast number of college coaches and national team scouts that are attending these events and actively watching. That is the real value behind the GA, especially in comparison to other events. You just can't get that kind of exposure unless you're participating in the GA or ECNL leagues on the girls' side. So, as you can see here, 550 unique schools, players from 82 member clubs in the class of 2023 are attending 350 different colleges across all divisions. And that kind of leads into this, which is that our academy is designed as a college preparation program. That means that we have designed our program with expectations of players being able to acquire the necessary skills and attributes to be college ready. Here's some of the things that we require: maintaining a minimum GPA. Basically, college coaches won't look at players that have a lower GPA because nearly all players who are playing in college are receiving some combination of athletic scholarships and academic scholarships. If you're only looking for an athletic scholarship, that means that your pool is going to be extremely limited in the number of coaches and colleges that are going to be interested in recruiting you. Creating a highlight film, so that's part of the reason why we film all of the games, is to give the girls the opportunity to create a highlight film, which is a key piece of the recruiting process. Teaching players how to communicate professionally with college coaches. There's a lot of different rules and regulations around that go with this as well, and so we as a coaching staff and a club have the resources to help guide your players in that process. How to travel, which is an important piece of all upper level elite soccer experiences. We do college visits at our showcase events so that the kids can have an opportunity to see up close and personal what it looks like to be on a college campus. And how to be the kind of player a coach wants to have on their team. We're not only focused on what's happening on the field, but also what's happening in the player and developing their character. Even if your player may not choose to play in college, our goal is to teach them more than soccer. And really, ultimately, that's the mission, is to equip the player for success on and off of the field. So as you reflect, is the academy right for you? You have to answer a few questions. Does my player love the game? Can we make the time commitment? Can we make the financial commitment, both to the club dues and to the travel? And is my player interested in playing soccer in college or beyond? Or is competitive a better option for your player? There's no shame in saying yes or no to one or the other. You have to decide, and maybe you might not know right at this moment, but which one is the right fit for your player and for your family. Is your player highly committed to another activity or sport and loves soccer? Does our family prioritize travel or other family events that would prohibit us from playing in many of the events? You know, some families are really committed to going skiing every single weekend in the wintertime, or they take a vacation, a long vacation in the summertime. These kinds of things are family decisions that might affect whether or not you want to participate in the academy. And is the financial commitment too high, or is my player not willing to participate in the team fundraising or youth referee academy? The next piece of the presentation, I want to talk a little bit about cost and cost versus value, because there's no way around it. This is an expensive program. The cost is high, but the value of the experiences we're providing at CFC is extremely high, especially when you compare what we're doing to other similar programs. We understand that Salem is a little bit different than the other markets that a lot of these teams are in, and we work really, really hard to make this program accessible to as many kids as possible. So we're going to go through just some of the costs, and there's really two buckets that we put those in. First of all is the club dues, and second is travel. So first of all, looking at club dues, the dues for our academy program for 2024-2025 are $2,335. There's a $300 fee that's due at the time of acceptance, and then after that, the monthly fee, we offer a payment plan that breaks down the cost to $185 per month. This is an all-inclusive cost, so it includes everything that you need, all the league fees, all the tournament expenses, your jersey, all the field expenses, all of the things that are required of participation, except for the travel expenses related to each individual team's experience. In comparison to other similar programs, if you're looking out there at what other clubs are doing, they're charging anywhere from $2,000 to $4,000 per year for their club fee. That doesn't include the jersey, doesn't include the showcase fees, doesn't include tournament fees, or the indoor soccer or futsal that we're providing at CFC. So we are trying to make it as easy as possible for you to know up front how much it's going to cost and to be able to make that decision of, hey, is this worth it or not, rather than trying to add in other fees on the back end. In addition, if you go to another club, they don't offer the same kinds of payment plans that CFC is offering. Typically, it'll be a large down payment followed by several more large payments over the course of 3 to 6 months. Now looking at the travel expenses, we want to break down the travel expenses. And this is an important slide here for a couple different reasons. As you can see, there's different events that require travel for this program. The first event is just our typical and traditional league play. So that's regional travel within our conference. That's all of the teams, and that's going to be around 3 to 4 out-of-state conference weekends in either Seattle or Spokane. And, we're estimating on the high side of these things. Depending on the time of year, these prices fluctuate. But with the way the club travels, it's going to run around $300 per trip for a weekend of play when you're playing on a Saturday and then on a Sunday. Now, the next 3 rows represent the different regional or showcase tournaments that the teams are required to do. As you can see, the U13s and U14s and the U19s have a different, they play one event per year. The U15s, U16s, and U17s will play 2 events per year. And the reason for that is because those are the most important recruiting years. So these are all league requirements. We're just doing what the league is asking us to do to participate. And the U15, U16, U17s are going to do 2 trips per year. And the U13s and 14s are going to do 1, with the U19s also doing 1. The only exception to that is if the U13s, U14s, or U19s would win their league, they would also participate in that championship cup, which is at the summer showcase. So let's go just line by line here. The first one is the U13s and 14s, the Spring West Regional. This year, that's in March for 2024, and that is in Oceanside, California. So that's about $1,200 to $1,500 per player. The reason that all of these say TBD on them as well is because the league will not release the locations for these until probably August or September, and then we'll know the specifics on where these events are going to be. So that's the Spring West Regional. That's for the U13s and U14s. So that would be for 2024 and 25, the 2012s and the 2011s. The GA Winter Showcase, that is that is this year. That's for the U15, 16, 17s, and 19s. So all of our high school aged teams. Again, it was in Norco, California, about 1,200 to 1,500 per player. And then the Summer Showcase, that's going to happen in June, and that is for the 15s, 16s, and 17s. And again, last year it was in Norco as well. That's a little bit longer trip. The Summer Showcase is a little bit longer than the other two trips. So there are the costs, but we also as a club work very hard on how we help with the costs. We have had core to our identity as a club is our scholarship program, and we've given easily over $1 million away in the last 10 plus years to help kids across all of our programs playing soccer. We raise that through private donations, through grants, through events that we do, and help create a lot more accessibility around these programs for all of our families. We do have a limited amount of scholarships available for players within the academy teams, and these are open and regardless of anything else, and just for those who demonstrate financial need to our competitive and recreational programs. Our academy program has, in addition to demonstrating financial need, we also take into consideration a player's attendance and commitment to the team and its expectations, the player and the family's participation in the fee reduction programs and doing club service, and then maintaining your minimum GPA. All the eligible players may receive up to 75% of their club dues covered by scholarships. So that's one aspect of it. In addition to the scholarships, we also provide our Youth Referee Academy. This is an incredible opportunity for players who are looking to not only help offset their costs for the year, but also to gain really valuable work experience. We legitimately have a unique program across the nation that's helping to develop referees. Jose Maciel is our Youth Referee Academy director, and he works with our players to train, mentor, and guide these kids along as they referee games. We have our recreational programs. That's a great learning environment for these players. And just from the financial side of things, just as an example, most players who enroll in our Youth Referee Academy earn on average over $500 towards their fees per season. And we offer 5 seasons of rec now. So if your player is interested, there's definitely a pathway forward, and through reffing some games, it's a great way for your player to offset the cost for club dues as well as for travel. There's also other opportunities that we have for work at the complex and fee reduction. A lot of times that's event-based, and so like we have many teams that are involved with our tournaments. And honestly, there's more and more opportunities. There's so many different things that we need help with at the club. And so if your player, or even your business has something that there's a way that you can serve the club, we do some fee reduction towards those kinds of work opportunities. In addition to those individual opportunities, the teams are expected to fundraise to help offset the cost of travel to these events. And each team has their own team account and a way that they go about doing these things, and we've gotten pretty good, and we're continuing to refine the process of how we fundraise for these events and do some pretty good best practices across all the teams to make it so that these travel experiences are a little bit more affordable across all of the teams. I just bring up this last bullet. This is a real situation from last year with one of our players. This player received a 50% scholarship. They ended up working at Capital Cup with field setup, and then they also worked both weekends. And then they ended up, this was just with their club dues, they ended up with an $11 per month fee for the rest of the year. And that is not an uncommon situation. So just wanted to give you kind of a real situation to wrap your mind around that it is doable. You have to put the work in and be committed to it, but there's lots of ways that we're working to provide a path forward for all of our kids and families. A couple other things to point out within the academy. One of the questions is, how do tryouts work? For our U12 players, our 2012s that are going into U13, all of those players are going to participate in the traditional club tryout in May. So that'll be the second week of May. We'll give some details around what those times are later. From that tryout, we are moving from 9v9 to 11v11. So we're looking to take a pool of players. In an ideal world, we're looking at 20 to 22 players for that academy pool. And those players will be offered a spot after that tryout, or provided a spot on one of our competitive teams. After the U13 tryout, all other academy teams they'll be provided with progress reports throughout the year that are intended to provide feedback to players and families. So just kind of like a report card with your kid at school, we are providing an individual development plan for the players, as well as giving feedback to your player and to your family on, hey, is the player on track? Are there areas where they can continue to grow? And are they on track to continuing with the academy? These reports include information on technical and tactical ability and development, attendance, GPA, personality, and these are the areas where we're evaluating those players. For the following year, instead of a formal tryout for U13 and above, so U14 and beyond, that would be for this 24-25 year, that would be the 2011s and above and older. And moving into 24-25, all of the players will be given a final individual evaluation in late spring to offer them either a continued spot in the academy, or they'll be provided a place on the competitive team or released to explore other clubs. In addition to that, players may be moved. We do have an open tryout, so sometimes players will join halfway through the year or midway through the year, and there's also sometimes in some situations where players will move from an academy team to a competitive team. Like we said at the beginning, it's not necessarily clear which pathway is the best fit for your player. So there is some fluctuation and flexibility within that. Most of the time, this is at the request of a family when they're asking to be put down a level into a competitive level, because either the player's not on track skill-wise or the commitment level is a little bit too high. As far as the financial side goes, we will reconcile all of those things and prorate the fees correctly, so you're not necessarily locked in just to the academy fee and then you're going to go down and play at a different level. So that is handled kind of on a case-by-case basis, but that is one of the great advantages of playing as a part of the club, is that we're able to kind of monitor your progress and put players in situations where they're most likely to develop and succeed. So the last thing here is the annual calendar. We don't have final dates, and we really won't have finalized information until much later in the year. These academy leagues in particular, there's a lot of moving pieces and many things that are last minute. So we try to give a general overview, an idea of what that's going to look like, but the specifics will come later on. As you can see, you can take a look. This kind of starts in April with what this lead up is into this coming year. But really the program runs from, in a sense, July or August. The beginning of the academy season for everybody is really in the fall, with the high school teams actually taking a break. Because this is a national program, it doesn't necessarily fall in line with all of Oregon's timelines. So it kind of morphs around our tryouts and state cup and so on and so forth. But the season will begin with tryouts in May and academy spaces offered The end of the 23-24 season for all of our Girls Academy teams will conclude with the summer showcase. And then, as you can see, there's a slightly different schedule for our high school teams as compared to our U13 and U14 teams, with the U13s and 14s playing in the fall, while our high school teams will go play with their individual high schools until they get back in November. So to conclude, I bring it back to, is this the right fit for you? Is the academy the right fit for you? Does my player love the game? Can we make the time commitment? Can we make the financial commitment, both to the club dues and to travel? Is my player interested in playing soccer in college or beyond? Or is competitive a better option? Does your player love soccer but's committed to another activity or sport? Does your family prioritize travel or other family events that would prohibit you from playing in many of the events? Or is that financial commitment or time commitment related to it too high and doesn't quite fit with what your family is, what your family dynamic is? So, thank you for listening to the presentation. Feel free to reach out to us with any questions that you might have. We really encourage you to ask the questions. We are partners with you in your players' development at CFC and want to be transparent and open with the information that we can provide to help your family make the best decision for your player's future. So, thank you.